In February 2004, Mercury walked into the Miami International Boat Show and shattered every assumption the marine industry had about four-stroke outboards. No one saw it coming. The rumors pointed to a high-powered Optimax, maybe a new V6. What Mercury unveiled was something no one had even seriously suggested: a supercharged inline-six-cylinder four-stroke. Whisper quiet at idle, brutally fast everywhere else. The Verado had arrived. It became the benchmark every premium outboard would eventually chase. So why did Mercury eventually abandon the very engine that made it legendary? To understand why the original Verado was so shocking, you have to understand what four-stroke outboards were in 2003. They were safe, reliable, quiet. And compared to the two strokes they were being asked to replace, they were slow. The knock on every four-stroke outboard of that era was the same: anemic low-end torque, lazy hole shots, and a gear ratio so deep it felt like the engine was fighting itself just to get a boat on plane. Manufacturers compensated for the physics of four-stroke power by burying the gear ratio, which meant higher RPM for a given speed, more noise, and a driving experience that enthusiasts politely described as uninspiring. Mercury's engineering team, based in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, decided to solve that problem in the most aggressive way possible. They weren't going to compromise displacement against weight or tune for emissions at the expense of performance. They were going to force more air into a smaller engine and make it behave like something twice its size. The result was a 2.6-liter inline-six-cylinder block, designed entirely from scratch. No shared automotive components, no borrowed architecture. Mercury's engineers built it from a blank sheet of paper, and then they bolted a supercharger to it. That decision, fitting forced induction to an outboard motor in a saltwater environment, was either brilliant or reckless, depending on who you asked. The marine press wasn't sure which on launch day. Saltwater and precision-boosted induction systems didn't exactly have a warm history together. The expectation in some corners was that the supercharger would be the engine's fatal flaw, a single point of failure that would leave owners stranded offshore with a beautifully engineered anchor. It never happened. Over the engine's 17-year production life, the supercharger proved to be one of the most durable components on the motor. What the supercharger did for the Verado was solve the fundamental problem of four-stroke outboard character in a single stroke. Four-stroke engines make their power high in the rev range. Torque builds gradually. To compensate, outboard manufacturers traditionally lowered the gear ratio, essentially turning the propeller more slowly relative to engine speed to multiply torque mechanically at the prop. It worked, but it came with penalties in efficiency and top-end performance. The Verado's supercharger delivered boost pressure that loaded up torque low in the RPM range, allowing Mercury to use a more conventional gear ratio. The result was an engine that behaved like a two-stroke at the bottom of the power band and like a finely engineered four-stroke everywhere else. Hole shots that competed with Optimax models, mid-range acceleration that one long-time captain described as addictive. And then, when you backed off the throttle, near silence. At idle, the Verado measured around 52 decibels. At wide-open throttle, still just 86 decibels. In both cases, the wind and the water were often louder than the engine. For boaters who had spent decades listening to two strokes scream behind them at full chat, running a Verado for the first time felt like being handed a completely different relationship with the water. The inline-six configuration helped with that. 6 cylinders in a row is inherently balanced in a way that V configurations aren't, producing minimal vibration at any engine speed. Mercury amplified this with their advanced midsection mounting system, a perimeter mount design that isolated the powerhead from the boat structure. Vibration that would have telegraphed into the hull on any other engine was absorbed before it reached the deck. Passengers on boats fitted with Verados regularly commented that they couldn't tell the engines were running at idle. Charter captains noticed they arrived at the end of a full day's run, less fatigued than they had been on any other engine platform. The noise simply wasn't there to wear them down. The engineering went deeper than the supercharger and the mounts. Mercury designed the Verado's cylinder head to use 4 valves per cylinder, driven by double overhead cam shafts. The valve train was designed to be maintenance-free for the life of the engine. A long bolt design anchored the block, cylinder head, and bed plate together as a single rigid unit, eliminating the micro-movement from thermal expansion and contraction that quietly destroys head gaskets over time. A dedicated oil cooler maintained temperature under load. The timing chain replaced the belt used on some competing designs, eliminating a common service interval entirely. From launch, the Verado was available in 200, 225, 250, and 275 horsepower. In 2007, a 300 horsepower model arrived. The engine that was originally designed to produce 275 horsepower maximum was, by the time the 350 model came along in the mid-2000s, producing 35% more power from the same 2.6-liter block on 87-octane regular fuel, with the same consumer warranty. To get the 350 to market, Mercury redesigned the supercharger with liquid cooling, added a new camshaft profile, reshaped the cylinder heads, and improved airflow into the combustion chambers. The engine didn't just take the power, it routinely went to 3,000 hours without a powerhead failure in documented commercial use. The racing version, the 400R produced by Mercury Racing, pushed the same architecture to 400 horsepower. It ran at 6,400 to 7,000 revolutions per minute and became the engine of choice for offshore racing applications, where the inline-six's narrow profile, which fit on standard 26-inch centers, allowed multi-engine configurations on transoms that wider V-style engines couldn't access. But the original Verado had a complicated early life, and honesty about that is part of the story. The first-generation engines, produced from 2004 through roughly 2007, came with issues that the skeptics pointed to. Timing chain slack on early examples could allow the engine to jump time. If compression dropped on the lower cylinders, it meant expensive powerhead work. A rubber isolator boot connecting the throttle control to the supercharger would develop tears, creating air leaks that caused erratic idling and a loud hissing under the cowling. A second rubber hose connecting the boost controller to the charge air cooler was known to fail under certain load conditions, causing the engine to surge toward wide-open throttle without input. None of these were catastrophic by design. The isolator boot was a straightforward field replacement. The timing chain issue was real, but relatively rare. Mercury addressed each problem progressively. By 2008, when the Generation 2 engines arrived, most of the early failure modes had been engineered out. The two-piece cowling that had allowed saltwater intrusion was revised. The lower gear case was upgraded to a larger 5.44-inch housing around 2011, solving the gear failures that had affected earlier units under high-hour commercial use. What remained after Mercury resolved the first-generation problems was an engine platform with a genuinely unusual combination of qualities: supercharged performance, whisper-quiet operation, and the kind of long-term durability that charter fleets depended on for their livelihoods. By the time production ended, quad Verado installations running over 6,000 hours were documented. Twin 250SRs with more than 5,000 hours on a single powerhead. These weren't outliers. They were the expected outcome from a well-maintained second or third generation engine. So what happened to it? Mercury didn't kill the supercharged Verado the way companies usually kill things, with a press release and a clear reason. It was replaced. gradually from the sides inward. In 2018, Mercury introduced the 4.6-liter V8 Verado, a naturally aspirated engine in 250 and 300 horsepower ratings. Without a supercharger, the V8 achieved similar output by going in the opposite direction from the inline-six, more displacement rather than forced induction. The 4.6-liter block was 2 liters larger than the supercharged 2.6-liter it sat alongside, and yet it came in 35 pounds lighter. Mercury's position was direct. Displacement, not supercharging, was the better long-term path to outboard power. The new V8 offered more low-end torque, less complexity, less heat under the cowling, and a simpler maintenance story. The supercharged inline-six was left covering the 300, 350, and 400 horsepower range, while the V8 took the 250 and 300 slots. It was a transition, not a replacement, but the direction was obvious to anyone reading the lineup. In late 2022, Mercury announced the 5.7-liter V10 Verado at 350 and 400 horsepower. Naturally aspirated, massive displacement, the same 26-inch center spacing as the inline-six, achieved through a 64-degree cylinder angle inherited from the V8. The V10 slotted directly into the horsepower range the supercharged engine had occupied. Test boats running the V10 outperformed the outgoing inline-six by margins that made the decision easy to justify. A Valhalla V33 on twin 400 V10s ran 3 miles per hour, faster than it had on twin 400 inline-sixes. A Boston Whaler 380 Outrage with quad 400 V10s reached 68 miles per hour, 10 miles per hour faster than the previous engine configuration. The inline-six had nowhere left to stand. By 2022, the supercharged Verado era was over. A platform that had run from 2004 to 2021, 17 years, was retired without ceremony. Mercury kept the Verado name and moved it onto engines that shared almost none of the original's defining technology. The supercharger was gone. The inline-six was gone. What remained was a brand identity applied to a completely different approach to the problem the original Verado had solved so memorably. Here is what the original Verado left behind. It proved that supercharging worked in a marine environment, not just in theory, but across hundreds of thousands of hours of real-world use in salt water. It proved that a 4-stroke outboard could compete with 2-stroke throttle response without sacrificing the refinement and emissions compliance that regulators and recreational boaters increasingly demanded. It made silence at idle a standard expectation for premium outboards rather than a novelty, and it established Mercury as the company willing to engineer from a blank sheet when the market needed something that didn't exist yet. The boat market it helped create still exists. Center consoles in the 30 to 50-foot range, running multiple high-horsepower outboards, are now a dominant segment. When the original Verado launched in 2004, that market was barely imaginable. The engine helped make it real by demonstrating that 4 strokes could be trusted offshore, trusted under load, and trusted to come back from 100 miles out without drama. The V10 that replaced it is, by almost every measurable standard, a better engine. More torque, more power, lighter, simpler, and faster on real-world test boats. Mercury made the right call. But the supercharged inline-six earned something the V10 will need another 17 years to claim. It earned a reputation. Built on the water, at dawn, offshore, by the people who depended on it to come home. And it did. Again and again. For 17 years. If you ran a supercharged Verado and remember what that mid-range kick felt like, drop it in the comments. Like, subscribe, and let's keep talking about the engines that actually mattered.